Welcome all. Thank you all for being here. This is a session on Growth Friday. Welcome to a 1-hour workshop where we go through tips on growing your real estate business. We have the pleasure of a guest speaker, John Mayfield, that is going to be sharing with us on this particular great topic of getting found online. So John and I are kind of going to tag team, kind of have a conversation, and we're definitely going to be looking forward to hearing from you what are some of the things that you have been able to do or you have questions. Today, we are getting through the topic of getting found online. This particular conversation is going to present, there's so many different things that you're able to do. However, we're going to start with the basics and give you the 10 things you can do to get started. That should be simple enough for any real estate agent or anyone that is an entrepreneur or small business that is able to do. My name is Brenda Kasuva. For those of whom I have not met yet, at the top right-hand side is my QR code that you are welcome for you to be able to scan and connect with me online, social media, heavy on Instagram and Facebook. If you connect with me by going to Brenda Kasuva is my username on all the social media sites. Definitely a conversation is welcome. So you're seeing my contact information and my email and website as well. So my friend John is going to introduce himself as well. This is a little I could pick out. I'm sure you can expand or share with us, but I'm sure we'd love for you to introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself, John.
Sure. Thank you so much, Brenda. I am John Mayfield. I'm from Missouri, just south of St. Louis, about an hour south of St. Louis. I've had my real estate license since the ripe old age of 18 in 1978. So some of you try to figure out how old I am, but real estate's pretty much all I've ever done and known. I took over my mother's company back in the early 80s. Grew the company to 3 offices and about 50 agents. And I sold the company in 2006 to go to work for a bank. And unfortunately, the bank was having some problems they didn't disclose to me. And so after a year or two of transitioning, I had signed a non-compete clause and some other things were going on. But I never left real estate. So I've always been involved with real estate. I didn't stay at the bank very long because they were not in a position to expand as they had hoped to. And so I reopened my office. And when I reopened after my non-compete clause was up, I pretty much have stayed in a smaller boutique style company that I own. I have a team, and I'm currently the president for Missouri Realtors this year. I run an online real estate school that's approved in 9 states. We do offer classes in Virginia, and I do a lot of speaking and training, love to write, and I love technology. That's kind of my wheelhouse. And Brenda and I've met at the Real Estate Educators Association. And last year we were like, we need to do something together. And a whole year went by and we didn't do anything. And this year we just came back from San Antonio and said, let's try to start doing something on Fridays and once a month. And so here we are. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. So you see the connection in terms of we're both real estate educators looking to share and grow your business. And the way we grow is by sharing and also learning from you. Our topic is starting off when you are in this business in today's world. People are going to go online and they're going to Google you. So we're going to give you the 10 things. This is going to be your opportunity. I'm giving you the heads up. This is where you're going to be writing your notes, because after this introduction, yes, we're giving you all the 10 right here at the very beginning, and then we're going to dig deeper into it. So for those of you who like writing, take it away here. The first thing that probably you need to do in any business is definitely know your target audience. Who are you marketing to is very key so that you're not wasting your money talking to people who might not generate business for you. So knowing your target audience, we'll talk about now that you know the target audience, how do they speak and what is their pain point? And I'm using the word language, which we'll expand upon because you need to kind of speak their language that they understand, not speaking the way we speak amongst the people that we hang out with and we work together with, because that's not really your target audience. You need to understand how your target audience works or thinks or talks, and we'll get into that. Be in the know as to what is happening around their world. What tool are you able to use? And then some basic strategies in terms of SEO, which is search engine optimization, where anything that is online, how does it get found? It is because some work has been done either on the images that you're finding or video or social media. We'll get into deeper into that. We are starting very basic, and anything that really goes over your head, you do have people that I'm sure that can help you, whether it's anyone in the household that is probably under 25 can help you. If not, there are definitely platforms that you're able to check into where you can hire people to help you with that. We are in the business where we trust other people's word over they will trust other people than yours. So reviews are definitely gonna be key in working on that. So that's the top 5 that we shall go through. The next 5 is going to be people associate whom you are with, like your colors and your font. Just like if I mention Coke, if I mention Pepsi, if I mention Apple, if I mention Google, you kind of can already tell by just the word, even with the colors, you can already picture for yourself, even the colors and the fonts that they use. Same thing in your business, branding and colors and fonts. And then the target audience, how are you going to reach out to them to keep reminding them that you're in the business? Make it easy for them to make appointments with you, because them knowing you're in real estate and them wanting to do real estate business, how quickly can they get a hold of you and make an appointment? That is key. All of this changes. So how often will you pause and make a review as to what you've done? Making sure that you exercise patience. So that is our top 10 that we are going to expand upon in the next 45 minutes or so. The first one was your target audience. So now we start digging deeper. The first one was target audience. When we're talking about your target audience, a couple things come to mind, and I'm sure you can add on others. Age starts off there because, again, a blanket statement. Each person is an individual, but when you're marketing, you kind of need to understand like the brackets of the age bracket that you're trying to target. A millennial is going to look at things differently than me, a Gen Z or a boomer, or now my daughter, she's what, Gen Z, I think. Yeah, that's a bracket she falls under. And then the next generation, I think now they're being labeled what, alpha or something like that. They're all going to kind of look at things differently. So how am I going to target them, and what tool am I going to use? My target audience going to be people that are local to the Maryland or the Baltimore or whatever jurisdiction that you're in, or am I simply going to start talking to people out of Maryland and telling them, hey, come and buy in Maryland or in Baltimore or in Annapolis because it's special in this. So I need to know that, like, who am I attracting? And then their occupation, this helps a little bit in terms of knowing what is their interest. Sometimes that could also give you a clue as to their work hours as well. So a traveling nurse or a nurse will have different work hours than a teacher. So kind of knowing their occupation could be helpful in your marketing. And then how did you connect? Most of us, when you look at your last year's business, how did you get connected with that person, and how you got connected with that person. That's what I need to be keeping in mind in my marketing. John, here's where you want to add on more examples. What else can you add on here?
Well, one of the things that kind of speaks to me when I see about your target audience is, let's just take the senior community. And by the way, think in terms, and we're talking about getting found online. So there are ways that you can target online to attract senior citizens who might be thinking about selling their property. Some seniors also are purchasing. In my area, a lot of seniors will move from established neighborhoods to condominium complexes that are geared for seniors. It's really a great market to work because, first of all, you're getting a listing. And secondly, most of these folks that I work with are paying cash for their condominiums. And so, which kind of leads to the second point that you bring up, Brenda, is what are the pain points? And so for a lot of these seniors, really understanding the process, trust, making sure that they're taken care of. And so, but there's a great example of how working a specific demographic and age group can really be profitable and advantageous for you. I love to work with seniors because they require a little bit more patience, and they need their hands held, and they need to slowly be walked through the process. And so that's been a great market for me to go after. However, think in terms of veterans. There's a great demographic that you can work because there are many veterans who don't understand how the VA loan process works. I held an online VA home buying seminar, just like we're doing on Zoom. And I had several people show up. I was able to advertise Brenda on Facebook, targeting military, retired and active personnel. And I recruited a loan officer who actually did the webinar for me. All I did was introduce my friend who I trust as a VA loan officer. And we had two people show up. I spent maybe $30 on or $40 on advertising on Facebook, but there were two people that showed up for a webinar who wanted to buy a home. And by the way, the other criteria that we used when advertising was that we wanted these people to not be homeowners. In other words, we wanted them to be renters. Today, that kind of data is available. So what Brenda's talking about is you figure out, for my advice to you is figure out what you have an excitement for. What would you like? Who do you want to work with? I like to work with senior adults. But figure out who you want to work with. Maybe it is the younger generation. Maybe it's military. So figure out who you want to work with, and then start to break that down. And what you're doing through all of this, and what Brenda's helping you understand, is you're creating a strategy now instead of throwing darts just on the wall hoping something will stick. You're actually now target marketing.
So John and I are sharing in terms of your target audience, knowing what their pain points are, because they're coming to you possibly for you to give them a solution. And two resources or 2 points I would like to build upon what John shared. One is to get an idea as to what is pain points. Your National Association of Realtors, for those of you who are realtors, you're paying for them to provide you with their research report. Every year, they're going to come up with a home buyer seller profile. That is a great resource that you are able to tap into. And when you go to their website, definitely check it out. Still building on your membership to the National Association of Realtors are designations and certifications that can build upon your target audience and or your interest. John mentioned the military clientele. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to mention, Brenda, when you were talking, I love how you have brought in pain points to the presentation. And by the way, this is Brenda's presentation. We kind of went through it together, but she's done a great job on this. And I wholeheartedly support everything she has provided. But I was listening to a podcast just the other day, and the gentleman was talking about understanding your audience, just what you're talking about, and understanding what some of their concerns are. And so I have an online real estate school, and I always thought maybe the pain points for my audience was, oh gosh, I hate to go through an online school because I have to click my mouse and read a lot. And I wanted people to know that my course is video, audio, it's much more than that. But then the other day, Brenda, when I was listening to this podcast, I thought, I think the pain points have actually shifted for my client, my potential real estate students, school students, because I think really what I need to be conveying, or the message I need to convey, is one of a better career, working their own hours, flexibility, unlimited income potential. I think those might be more pain points for my students rather than, does your school have video or audio? No, I want to try to capture the students that see my ads to say, I can give you a better opportunity by finding a career in real estate, or you can have multiple income,
Yeah.
streams of income. So I just wanted to touch on that very
Yeah.
quickly. But
Good.
it is important. This is kind of the foundation that Brenda's talking about, and using resources from NAR, as she just mentioned, helps you understand who that is you're trying to communicate to. And the more you can figure that out, the better you'll be able to relate to those people and win clients and customers for your business.
Yes, thank you. Most people are definitely familiar with Google, and they're going to start going online first and to Google before so most of us are going to do our research first before we even connect with the person that we think is going to help us. As a real estate professional, then this is where you're starting to learn their language, and learning their language is understanding what they're searching for. So what I did as a good example is, if I am attracted to work with first-time home buyers, and since I'm in Maryland, I just did a Google search pretending as if I am a first-time home buyer in Maryland. So I did a search. You're definitely gonna be familiar with what Google provides. Some people have paid money for them to be found on the first part of the page. And what I am doing as my research to start learning the language that my first-time home buyer is speaking online is Google now does a good job of telling us people also ask. So as I'm scrolling down, I'm seeing what resources can I pull from as I am speaking and connecting to a first-time home buyer, but also how they speak. 4 options are presented here that now I could use either to create a video, a reel, what still a reel is a video, a post, a tweet, a blog, something on your website, a newsletter, if you're going to be mailing out something, an email campaign, addressing who qualifies as a first-time home buyer in Maryland. You can talk
And
about
we can really see the pain. We can really see the pain point right there, can't we? In all 4 of those, what seems to be the biggest pain point? Down payment.
down payment. Yep, down
So
payment.
that needs to be something your credit, even though it's first time homebuyer credit, it almost seems like everybody's concerned about the down payment. That's what you need to focus in on, and that's the resources you could create. So
Correct. Building from there, I'm gonna get maybe a little bit techie, but not too much. This is where, so now I'm going to Google. You look at people also ask, and then you will start seeing what are they asking for and what is their pain point. You can then take it further with these 2 tools. I'm a Google fan. I have an Android, so I'm going to talk about these Google products that are helpful. Google Trends is there to give you, just like the word says, this is what people are searching for the most, or in the majority, on our platform, Google. So I've done a Google search. I've looked at people also ask, and that's given me ideas. And then this is not, you don't pay for it. You don't have to have even a Gmail account. You just type in whom are you attracted to in terms of whom your target audience is or whom you want to attract. So I did the same thing, first time home buyer. And notice, as John mentioned, and what we saw in the previous screen in terms of related queries, is again, they're looking for information on how to help them with down payment. So they're looking at first time home buyer, 7,500 government grant. If you don't know what it is, this is your opportunity to go and research and talk about it. And then 5,000 first time home buyer grant, same thing. You go and research about it. Anything you want to add on?
Just that this seems, if you really are working buyers, especially first time home buyers, or a lot of times I had agents who we would send postcards to apartment complexes and say, why rent when you can own your own home? Call us to find out about programs for, with little or no money down. And those are all very successful. Most of those people who are sitting in an apartment complex, they want to own a home. I was with the National Association of Real Estate Brokers yesterday, which is a different organization from the National Association of Realtors. They are the Black for Black real estate brokers. But I was interested. First of all, I was like the first Missouri president to ever go speak at their meeting. I don't know why no one else has, but they were so thrilled to have me come speak. But I learned so much at that meeting. And one of the things I learned about the Black community is that when there's home ownership, there's more opportunities, I guess, and they're really big on promoting home ownership, and there's democracy in home ownership. And there are so many people who are renting right now who don't realize that there are USDA loans or FHA loans, and there are sellers who would help maybe pay part of those closing costs. So really, those are pain points that are so easily addressed, that you and I can address so easily to potential home buyers. So it's something I've done. And, I just always, Brenda, try to think outside the box on how I can make money. And I always had to do it the old fashioned way by sending out direct mail, which is still very good. But today with Google and Facebook and Instagram, you can take these tools like Brenda's showing you and really do it right from the comfort of your own home with very little effort and work, and not a lot of money.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. The second tool to explore is Google Keyword Planner. And Google Keyword Planner is embedded in Google Ads. This is where any of those advertisements or websites that come about when you do a search, the ones that are found at the top, those are people who have paid, or those are entities that have paid Google to be on the top of the page. What you're using is gathering more information. So when you go to that website, definitely Google is going to try and get you to do an ad. You're just doing your research to, again, further your research in terms of what are the words that people are using or looking for and their pain points. And then that is what you are including in your marketing. So those are the two platforms. When you have done your research, you still need to keep yourself abreast of what is happening. So being in the know, the one other platform from Google that would work well for you is Google Alerts. Google Alerts is like an alarm that you set up, and it will send you an email based on what you put in under the alerts box. So when you put in an alert here for, let's say, examples of alerts that you could be setting up is definitely your name, definitely which company you're affiliated with, maybe your competition, and whom you pay money to. So I have one to my local association, Maryland Realtors, And then definitely my company, myself, I have one for my family as well. And then when I have a listing, I will set one up for the property address. I will set one up for that subdivision as well, so that when anything is posted on the internet, then I will get an email. This is just to keep myself abreast of what's happening. If you're working with buyers, the buyers have shared with you the areas they're interested in. You would set one up for that particular area that they're interested in. You get to be in control as to how often you want to be informed of this information. You just give them an email address, and then in your email, you will get a rundown of what is happening. So definitely checking out Google Alert. What else have you set up an alert for, John?
Well, I've set up alerts for my competition because sometimes I want to know what they're doing. My own name because I want to know if there's been, some type of news article that's been published. But also, I've taken topics like I love to do VA work with veterans. And I like to work with veterans because I remember, Brenda, one time I was really having a tough time selling and like nothing was clicking for me. I felt like a baseball batter who was striking out every time. And I remember getting a call and I was pre-qualifying the buyer on the phone and I said, where do you work? He goes, I'm on disability. And I'm like, oh gosh. And I said, so you're not working? He said, no. And I said, well, what kind of bills do you have? And he goes, well, I got my gas and electric and water bill. And I said, no, do you have charge cards or car payment? No, everything's paid for. And I sat there and I thought, well, you cannot discriminate against someone if they're on disability. I knew that from teaching real estate school. And then the thought went through my head. I said, are you a veteran? And he said, yeah, I'm a veteran. And I said, well, we might be able to do a VA loan. And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, well, as a veteran, you're entitled to a VA loan. He goes, I never knew that. And long story short, I sold them a house. At the closing table, they were both crying. And I thought I'd done something wrong. And I said, is everything okay? And they were in their 50s and they said, everything's fine. We're just so happy. This is the first home we've ever purchased in our life. And we had no idea that we could use get a VA loan. Now, what you need to understand is when I wrote that contract, the seller paid all of their closing costs. After the prepaids and everything, my clients got $92 back at the closing table. So not only did they pay nothing, they actually got $92 refund check from the title company. And they were so happy, they were crying. And it really reminded me as a real estate professional what an impact we can have on consumers and what a role we can play. So to answer your question, since I work with a lot of military and I have military in my database, I have a Google alert for VA news or any type of military loan programs. So as that information comes across, if there's something interesting, I could share it on a blog post. I could share it with one of my clients, and I can use that to help, if anything, Brenda, just to help me become more knowledgeable about that topic or subject matter.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All of this exercise needs to start somewhere. So the first challenge for yourself with these resources that we are sharing is go Google yourself. And when we're talking about going to Google yourself, you're going to Google and you're typing in your name. Yes, there's some of us who are fortunate or unfortunate, depending on the style that you pick, that might have someone else who has a common name. So you might put realtor, you might put the area that you're in. However, before you get too excited and get in on that particular exercise, probably we are going to start off by sharing, search for it different ways. And when I say different ways, is right now your computer, probably you're confident enough that you've saved all your passwords on most of your websites on the Google password keeper where it says to remind you or something like that. So definitely doing it on the computer that has all your logged in stuff. is going to favor or make you feel good. So you want to make sure that you get the real perspective from the consumer. How do you accomplish that? Go to a computer that you don't use a lot. That's one option. Maybe you don't have that. So use a different browser. Browser means you can go to Safari. If you don't use Safari a lot, you can go to Mozilla. You can go to Bing, you can go to DuckDuckGo, you can use Opera. All of these are just different browsers that you probably already have on your computer, or you can install them so that you get a true picture of what it is the consumer is going to find. The worst case scenario that still you can use is when you open up a Google Chrome browser, on the top right-hand side are 3 dots. And when you go to those 3 dots, is something known as incognito window, where Google is telling us, oh, I'm not tracking what it is that you're doing, or that's the impression they give. So that's the worst or third of the options that you're able to do to get a true picture as to what people are going to find when they put in your name, because they are, just like you are doing it for other individuals. Probably you're even Googling the clients that you're going to be meeting this weekend already. They're doing that as well. Take that time to Google yourself and see what is there. And then now you start implementing some of the things that we're going to talk about. Once now we have seen where we are starting from by this particular exercise, now we start going to giving you some examples as to what some of us have been able to accomplish. So this is somebody that I actually met today. I was doing an instructor development workshop for my local association, and this individual is licensed and looking to start teaching. So I just put in her name, and this is what I am able to see. Home Snap. So I'm giving you ideas as to stuff that if you haven't set up, or if you haven't gone and updated them, this is your opportunity to do so. You have access to Home Snap on social media. Any social media that you can have or update is definitely going to help you, because they are paying money to be found. So she has her Twitter. She has LinkedIn. You're seeing this individual has Facebook. And then you start seeing the broker stuff. You start seeing realtor.com and then rating websites. But then on the right-hand side, you're seeing something that we're going to talk about, which is Google My Business. So this is giving.
Hey, and something else too, Brenda, that I think is real important that you said, and I want to make sure the audience understands, because it dawned on me just as we were covering this. Those areas, if you go back to that previous slide, those websites that popped up at the top, Home Snap, Twitter, LinkedIn, if you've not gone out and updated those profiles in a while, you need to make sure you do that, because the people are going to look to see, is that fresh content or fairly recent, or is it dated? And sometimes I forget to update my realtor.com website, or I don't go out and update my Twitter. And so, I think that's a great exercise, is when you see what are the top places, take time to make sure that you have a current picture, good current information, and, keep that really updated regularly.
If we echo back to the conversation of when you're searching the language of your target audience, that's what you're going to be using in your blog, in your website, and so on. Thank you for that. When we are doing this exercise, it might feel painful that, hey, I'm not showing a lot of these people, a lot of this stuff is not me. Don't worry. You start from somewhere, and we're going to echo this word several times: patience, patience, and consistency. It's all about consistency when we are talking about being online. Here's your starting point: your face, your image, your face and or your image. People will go, yes, we are nosy. they will go and look for images. So John shared, do you have an updated image on all the platforms that you will find when you do a Google search for you? Because again, they want people do business. There's a connection with the person when they know and see and kind of have an idea as to how you look like and your emotions that you display on video. We'll talk about that in 2 minutes. So let's start off with the starting point. You have Googled yourself. Now let's talk about images because they'll go to images. And when you look at images, are you seeing that it's you? Here, Cheryl Youngbar, maybe I see there's another one here. This is another person, but at least the one whom I know is this one, this one, this one. And then what else? This is LinkedIn. And then she was with Berkshire Hathaway, but then she left. Or maybe no, this is the same. This is the same one. What are we getting at here? If you go to the images tab and you're not seeing a lot of your face there, most likely it's a simple step that you are able to take. What could you be doing is name your pictures prior to you putting them online. Name your picture. Naming your picture involves what? When you go to your computer folders, when you have your images on your computer and you're looking at images, I'm trying to open one as we speak, you will have a name of those images. Before you upload them online, take the time to rename them. So in a moment, I'll show you what I mean really quick. Here you have all of these images. And if I make them a little bit bigger for some of us, here you're seeing images. Now this image has the words welcome, but the name of it is hand 2034842_1920. This statement hopefully will make sense. Google is blind. Google is not yet at the point where like Facebook or other technologies where they kind of read the pixels and kind of guess. I think this is John because I've seen so many of the similar images. So let's tag John on these images. We're not there yet on the search engine that we use. So how they read images is by the name of the image. So simply put, before I upload this image, I'm going to rename it. I'm sure there are multiple ways that you can get what it is that I am doing. Before I upload it, I'm going to rename it and I'm going to do my best and rename it. And then when I upload it online, it will be called me. So if that was an image of myself, I would name it Brenda Kasuva before I upload it online. That is going to be very helpful in terms of getting your properties found. This exercise should be done when you are working with listings. Let me give you a great example. This is a listing that closed that I had. When I uploaded the images, every image had the property address, and you see what happened. Before I uploaded the pictures to the MLS, I renamed all the pictures and put the property address because when people are searching, they're searching by the property address. So when they're searching for me, they're going to put my name. So every image before I upload it to anything, if I'm hitting the browse button, and it's going to go somewhere online, it will be named Brenda Kasuva. What can you add on, John?
I love this part of the presentation because it's something no one hardly does. Many real estate agents fail to do this, and yet it's such a critical part of getting found online. So great job and very good.
And it's not only images, this is videos as well. If I continue the process of nowadays, you included not only stopping at text, because we've evolved. We used to be text and then images came about, and now where are we? Videos. So this is your challenge for a lot of us in terms of videos. is even when I'm doing videos, when you upload videos, this also ties in naming your videos before you upload them into anywhere. YouTube, Facebook, doesn't matter. Instagram is renaming it so that when they search your name, they're going to have some words they can read. People are visual. They're going to look at images, and then they're going to toggle over into the videos and just see what it is that you have. So definitely video is key, and John is the person whom I'm learning from as I am creating my videos as we speak. So thank you, John.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good. Google My Business is kind of like one of those things to think about. It doesn't cost you money. It just costs you time to set it up. Google My Business, which now they're shifting over to Google Maps, where when somebody's searching for you on the right-hand side, I showed you a little bit of Cheryl Youngberg. This is what mine looks like when you Google me. On the right-hand side, we have Google My Business. And what you're doing is taking the time to go to Google My Business and setting up these, I will call it, it's the yellow pages of Google. And that's what they're striving to do, and enhancing maps. So it's map related. So you might be requested to add an address. Now, this is where some of you might not be comfortable putting your home address. You can definitely put your office address as definitely one of, when they're asking for address, or you could opt to just have a zip code. How is this helpful? When people are researching real estate agent near me, Google is going to look for who has a zip code or who's very close to Brenda that's searching for a real estate agent, and they're going to look at their Google My Business as well. Definitely one for you to check out. I'm not going to discount their competitor. Bing Maps does the same thing, that you are able to search, because I don't want to assume that everyone is using Google. Bing Maps has the same thing, to where you are able to set up that page on the right-hand side to help you with your marketing as well. I want to make sure that since we are talking about setting up stuff online, enhancing the conversation of you getting found online, this counts as what? Advertising. So when we are advertising in Maryland, let me remind you, because this is dear, close to my heart. Remember that in my advertising, I need to make sure, since it's real estate related, if it's going to be real estate related and you have a license in Maryland, then I'm going to have the name as it shows on my real estate license. If you have a nickname, it's on your real estate license, you're able to use that. I'm going to make sure that I have my company name displayed in full. And then if I include my telephone number, I'm going to include the broker's telephone number. All of this is helping a little bit on the search engine optimization, these tips that we've given, which is your naming your images, having some video and naming the video, finding out how they speak and speaking their language, and making sure that you are going to work on their pain points. And you getting found, we talked about consistency. You need to have content that is, again, with the language that you saw online, by going on Google and searching, let's say first-time home buyer, getting tips on that, creating content that Google will find, or Bing that will find, that is talking to that target audience. So definitely having that exercise is going to be helpful. Some of us have the experience of being parents or grandkids, and you might have experienced where you tell the child or the grandchild, don't do this, and they don't listen to you. But someone else who doesn't even raise them comes and tells them, don't do this, and they listen. That's kind of how reviews work. Reviews is where, yes, Brenda, you're telling me you're good. But if other people tell me you're good, kind of they're going to listen. So reviews is going to be a key part of this. And it doesn't matter which platform you end up picking and using for reviews, whether it is your Facebook page, whether it's going to be Google My Business, that's my favorite. In fact, after this session, you're going to be asked to put in a review. Definitely, that's my choice for gathering reviews, but you could use any other platform that works for you. The key point is to what? Ask for those reviews. And I believe, John, you had a story to share here as well.
Well, the one thing we talked about here is that I think not only do people look at reviews, but they also are looking at how recent is the information you're adding. I was telling Brenda there was a lady who had this beautiful website and, really all this great stuff. And I thought, boy, she's an instructor and a great instructor. But then as I started looking, like I clicked on one of her links that took me to her YouTube channel, and she hadn't posted any videos for a long time. I remember sitting in a class one time where where the speaker was talking about Instagram. And I thought, gosh, this is several years ago. I thought, I'm not using Instagram. I need to do that. And I looked her up on Instagram and she didn't have any post, like one or two posts on Instagram. And so what I was telling Brenda is I think reviews are so important, and I pay attention to reviews. And sometimes I'll see a 1-star, but when I drop down in Amazon, it's like I got the box and it was tore. Well, why? They're upset because the box had a hole in it, and so they give it a 1-star. So don't always feel like 1-stars are a bad reflection. But I am finding myself for service type businesses, which is what we're in. If they're not posting and they're not staying relevant with current information, it bothers me to think that maybe they aren't very active. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think reviews play a huge role. You've got to ask, and I don't do that enough. I'm going to be honest with you. I need to do what Brenda's doing. A lot of my business is repeat and referral. So I'm 62 and I'm not trying to dig up all the business I can get, but that's very important. But I think what also is important is that people know you're active and you're posting articles about, post on LinkedIn, make a tweet occasionally about a news article, post something on Facebook. And it doesn't always have to be about, I sold a home or I listed a home. People like information. I posted a goofy little video the other day that I got a senior discount at Culver's. And I said, I wasn't real crazy. I wasn't real happy about it, but I wanted people to see a different side of me. So I think what I'm trying to say is be present and try to be present often.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. A logo is definitely gonna help. And here with advertising rules, remember that if you're going to create your logo to brand yourself, your colors and your fonts, then when you're using the logo in your real estate business, remember you kind of will have to have two. You'll have to have the one from your broker as well as yours. Yours cannot be the only one there because we are using this for real estate. When it comes to creating stuff online, if you haven't checked out, I'm sure Canva gets a lot of people promoting their product. If you haven't checked out Canva, this is one of those tools that I am so grateful to even pay for. This is where I create most of my stuff, your images, your video, your presentations, anything. You have the opportunity to check it out. There's a lot you can get done for no cost on Canva. Definitely check it out. In terms of even creating a logo, you can be able to use canva.com. A CRM is definitely going to be helpful, a customer relationship management system, because now that you're going to be attracting your target audience, you need to be able to incubate them and keep in touch with them on a regular basis by touching base with them either by direct mail, email, by sending them, stalking them on social media. But nowadays, most people, when we're talking about communication, the quickest way to get a hold of them is how? Text messages. So when we're talking about text messages, this is another opportunity for you to check out platforms that do exist that give you the opportunity for you to send one message to a lot of people, just like we do mass mail emails, or you send mail through the post office. Now text messaging has also gotten to that point where these are just examples of text messaging platforms that do exist that you're able to explore. I'm going to say there's some that start you off with maybe you can send 25 text messages for no cost. But if you want to send 200, 300 on a monthly basis, that's a budget that you're going to look into. As usual, Brenda is going to put the hat of the educator, and I'm going to talk about Telephone Consumer Protection Act that has been in place since 1991 when we were using the phone. This is a little bit different than from the do not call list, but also very similar in terms of you have to get permission. Just like you need to get permission to send emails, and permission is granted by maybe you get permission before you send the email, or when you send the email, you have to give the person the opportunity for them to unsubscribe. The same follows on text messages if you're going to go that route. If you're going to send out bulk text messages, you need to give the person the opportunity for them to say stop. And when they say stop, you do need to have the capability to take them off your next marketing that you're going to do. This ends somewhere. All of this has to end to where you're getting business. So for you to get business, we need to make it very relatively simple and quick enough for somebody to book an appointment, for you to convert them from a lead or prospect into a client. There are very multiple platforms that you're able to use to schedule a calendar. This eliminates the back and forth. Are you available, Stephanie, at 2? No, I'm available at 4. Okay, no, I'm not available at 4. Let's try tomorrow at 10. So these platforms do exist. This process doesn't end. It evolves. In the image that is displayed, some of us are in one point here. Either you're experiencing the younger age bracket to where they're exploring and you're nurturing them, or now you're guiding them, or now maybe the roles are going to be reversed to now we are the one who's going to be taking care of them. Each stage is going to bring up its own good and or bad, depending on how you look at parenting. And if you are not experiencing what I am sharing, then maybe I'm going to use another analysis. If I'm going to run a marathon, the Boston Marathon, sometime in October, I need to start probably a couple of years ahead and run a few 5Ks, run a few 10Ks, half marathon, full marathon, build up my pace. So this takes patience. And the very last analysis or analogy I might use to some that might connect is fishing. It takes patience. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to keep reviewing, adjusting, and evolving with what is presented at that time. Whatever we saw about first-time home buyers, trust me, by the end of December, you will have maybe new topics to talk about if that is your target audience. So put in your calendar and your budget and your plan that this is something that you need to review on a regular basis. Worst case scenario, maybe twice a year. Quarterly is plenty. So keep yourself abreast on that and exercise patience. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I look forward to checking you out online and watching your growth. Thanks for watching. We want you to come back because we know that you learned something from watching that particular video. That means you're going to subscribe and share with others what you learned from this particular platform. Welcome back on Friday to attend this live. at 12 p.m. Eastern. Registration is found on our website, trainingwithbrenda.com or brendacasuva.com. Until next time, take care.